and look at the boxes that have the different types of um, genetic traits. Let me get the YouTube live going. Okay, there we go. All right. Again, if you just joined, good morning. And ready. Okie dokie. So we're in types of inheritance lesson. Types of inheritance lesson. That's where we should be in Canvas. Oh, okay, wait a second. Let me come back out of that. I didn't turn the sound on. Okay. All right, so last lesson we were looking at dihybrid crosses, and now we're looking at other inherited traits. We're practicing our Punnett squares, and we're going to continue practicing the Punnett square as we go through genetics. And we want to look at so we looked at sex-linked traits, and today we're going to look at codominance. So hopefully you've gone through all of these little boxes, but one by one, we're going to go through all of these boxes. So we did sex-linked trait, and we talked about hemophilia being a sex-linked trait that was found on the, or I should say the normal gene. What it is the normal gene for blood clotting. So a person who has hemophilia is not able to clot their blood. So what that means is if they get a cut, the little blood cells that always accumulate at the site of the cut don't happen. So the person will continuously bleed all the time. So you have a gene that controls that. And the absence of that gene technically is recessive. Okay, so we call that the little h. And so that one is also found on the X chromosome, and there's nothing on the Y chromosome for that to match that gene on the Y chromosome. So if the female had a capital H on her chromosome, she is normal for blood clotting. She will not have hemophilia. And if she has two of those, she definitely will not have hemophilia, and she will not be able to pass that on to the next generation. However, if one of her H's has a lowercase h and the other chromosome has a higher case H, she will not have hemophilia, but she will be what we call a carrier. And she was able to pass that on to her offspring. So when we do the segregation, it is possible to pass one normal gene and one recessive gene for hemophilia. So it's possible that their offspring, and remember, when we do the Punnett square, that's a probability. It's possibilities. We could never have that possibility happen, or we could always have that possibility happen. It's like they always attribute that to like a coin toss. When you flip a coin, you don't know whether you're going to get heads or tails, or how many times you'll get heads or tails. So it's a similar fashion. You could always get heads. You can get heads 10 times out of 20 kind of thing. So it's a probability. If the female has the recessive trait on her X chromosome, and she is matched with a Y chromosome from the male, then there is nothing on the Y chromosome to mask it or hide it. So that is going to be expressed. So the only way that you get a child with hemophilia is to have two X's for a female with the lowercase h on both chromosomes, or be a male with a lowercase x and a regular y. Okay, which is why it shows up in males more often than females, because more often than not, females will have the possibility of having that second chromosome be a regular gene for blood clotting. All right, so that was our example of sex-linked chromosome. Today we're going to look at polygenic inheritance, which is multiple. So let's look at that one. Let me go. This is close this one. So we're going to look at, actually, we're going to look at codominance first. And then I'm going to show a video on that shortly. But blood typing is one of those things. So we're going to practice a grid on blood typing. And there are only two, we call a protein. And there are only two proteins, actually. There's an A protein and a B protein. And O is actually the absence of either A or B. Okay, so you can have A, you can have B, you can have both A and B, which means that it's codominance, not one is not dominant over the other, or you can have neither one, which makes you blood type O. All right, so that's what that means. All right, so this is how we look at the genotype for that. The A, you can be A if you have one gene with the protein on it. And then it's actually the two genes with the protein on it, or have one gene with the protein on it and the absence of the gene on the other chromosome. Okay, because remember, O is the absence of A or B. Okay, so then in that case, A is dominant. All right, you can be B, and by having both the B proteins on both chromosomes, or B on one chromosome and nothing on the other chromosome. So again, B will be dominant because there's nothing to override it. Now, this is where we get the codominance. If you have A on one chromosome and B on the other chromosome, then both are expressed and your blood type or the genotype is AB. It's not one or the other. They're both sharing the dominance. And type O, you have no other choice but to be O because there is an absence of that protein on either chromosome. Okay, so that's how you have to look at that. All right, we're also going to look at, like I said, polygenic inheritance, and we're going to watch this video, and then we're going to do the activity. Okay. And Piper, I see you already done it. And so I'll check in a minute.
Look at these beautiful hands. All right, these are hands showing friendship and camaraderie and our future. But really, I just want to show you their skin color. So we have a variety of skin colors here. The whole point of this is to show you how skin color is controlled. So it looks a little bit more complex than just maybe one gene. If one gene only had two forms, like a big S and a little s, you'd only be able to get two different forms. So something else is going on here. So let's take a look here. So we call this polygenic inheritance. Right? Poly meaning many. Genic sounds like genes, so that's why we get polygenic. Many genes are involved in the inheritance of skin color, which is just one example, but there are other examples. See, look at all these beautiful people, really, really happy and stuff. So polygenic inheritance is a fancy term for those traits that are controlled by more than one gene, and I'll show you how that works in a second. So we think that human skin color requires at least 3 genes, and just by having 3 different genes, you can create a whole different variety. Okay, with if each one of those genes has 2 different forms, you can get a whole bunch of different combinations to produce all the different shades from very light to very dark. I won't pick out who's very light, who's very dark. Of course, your skin color can also be modified by environmental factors. That's a fancy way to say, when I go to the beach, then I hang out, soak up the rays, and I get a nice, healthy looking tan on me. But if I stay out or fall asleep, I get really sunburned and get all red and stuff like that. Anyways, environmental, what you do outside or what you do in general can also, you can modify your skin color like that. But most of it is determined through your genes and what you inherited from your parents. We also think that we also think that these traits or conditions are probably controlled by more than one gene as well too. I mean, we've heard of things like sickle cell anemia, hemophilia. I'm not gonna write them all down. Hemophilia, color blindness. Those we can do Punnett squares. They're easy to figure out because there's only one gene controlling them, which is probably why we know exactly how they work because there's only one gene. So it's easier to figure that stuff out. But for stuff like obesity, there seems to be like a wide range of different types of susceptibility to becoming obese and different levels of obesity. Same with cancer. Cancer is quite complex as well too. Autism, diabetes. So there's a lot of these diseases which are not as easy to figure out. So it's possible that they are also polygenic. So more than one gene is controlling all these various traits and stuff like that, these conditions and diseases. So what does that actually look like? Oops, my smiley face was supposed to be over here and it's moved. So let's get that out of the way. Doesn't matter. So this is a good question. You can pause and take a look at this in more detail if you want. But just really briefly, if we assume we have two genes, so we said in the previous slide back here that we're trying to assume three genes, but let's just keep it simple for now and just say, let's just say only two genes are controlling skin color, and we'll call those genes A and B. The gene A has two forms, big A and little a. What was happening? And then the B gene has two forms, big B and little b. So I could be, I could be this. I could have inherited this combination. Or I could be like this. Now, let's pretend these letters mean something. So big A means add melanin, which means the more melanin is a protein, the more of it you have, the darker your skin actually looks. Hello, I'm recording a video. This is embarrassing. Big B also means add melanin. So the more of this you have, the darker your skin is. So if you have a little A or a little B, then that means not as much melanin, so the skin should look lighter. So check out this person. If this is your genotype, then you have, 1, 2, 3, 4 units of skin color melanin. So you probably have really dark skin here, but this person has 0 units of skin melanin, and so you end up with very, very light skin. And so look at all these combinations here. This would be darkest. This would be the lightest. And then you have different combinations in between. This person has 1 unit of melanin, 1 unit, 2 units, so they're going to be a little bit darker, 2 units, 3 units, and then 4 units, the darkest. So you get a range, and that's just by assuming there's 2 genes. So if you stretch it out and make it 3 genes, go with like A, B, and C, where each of these has 2 different forms. Hopefully you're following this. Then you end up with even more variation in between. And here's a chart that kind of shows this. So it all fits under a normal distribution curve. So a lot of people in the middle with whatever the average skin tone is. Few people with really dark skin and few people with really, really light skin color. So that basically sums it up. So take a look at these diagrams when you have some time. And I think that's about it. Here's a map. This is a kind of interesting diagram to show how skin color is distributed around the world. And you can think about this biologically, so I'll leave that with you. So think about how there seems to be a pretty clear pattern here. Can you try to explain this pattern? And also, a little bit of TOK socially here, skin color can connect with social issues and discussions. So there's quite a bit you can talk about, write about. So think about that and post your question. Yes.
Alrighty, so just to show you how sharing a set of genes gives you some variety. So it's not always cut and dry, one color, this color, one ability, that ability. It's when you have several genes. And again, remember, think of your chromosome as a string of pearls, and there's a lot of beads on that string of pearls, and each one of those beads is a trait. So what they're saying here is with that one, 3 of those beads will control this particular trait. And so there are several characteristics that are like that, which is what gives you the variety that you have. All right, so let's get back to Canvas and let's look at our activity for today. And again, if you go to, actually this one is in the module. So if it's this one, because I transferred it from one class to the other. So this one is in your module. So if you just go to the next page, you'll find today's activity. All right, now this one we're still looking at sex linked, so I'm going to put up another activity to deal with the polygenic. But this one is the exercise where the characteristic is not only on the X and Y chromosomes, but it's also codominant. Okay, so these are sex linked and codominant. So they're telling you, and they're always going to give you a key. They're telling you that female cats can be black, and if they're female, they have to have 2 X chromosomes. And if they are dominant, if they are black, and they have to have 2 capital B's. They can be orange, and they can have 2 capital R's. If they have, and I notice there are only capital letters here, there are no lowercase letters. If they happen to have a R and a B, then they are calico. And calico looks like the little cat that we have here in the picture. All colors are showing, okay? You got a little orange, you got a little black, okay? You even got a little white. But this is what we call a calico cat, okay? Then they tell you the males. The males only have this characteristic on the X chromosome. So if they're carrying on if the X chromosome has a capital B and there's nothing on the Y, then they will be a black cat. If they have the R chromosome, R trait on the X chromosome, then they will be an orange cat. All right. What does this tell you about calicos and females? Somebody can type it in the chat just by what this is showing you here. What is that? What is it telling you? Off the bat, it should be telling you something. Are we going to have male calico cats? Somebody can just type it in the chat. Are we going to have male calico cats? No. Okay, they're either going to be black or white, so only the females can be calico. All right, so what you got to do, so the first one, everybody download the worksheet. On the first one, they've drawn the box for you and they've set this up and they've told you, they put the male cat across the top and the female cat across the side. So fill in the boxes and then count how many of the cats are orange males, how many are calicos females. Okay. All right. Notice they didn't ask you how many black cats. So fill in the boxes and then analyze. The second, third, and fourth question, you have to draw your own box and set up your own Punnett square. And then you also have to answer the question. So show the Punnett square and then list the phenotypes and the proportions. So the proportions are to say, like they have up here, how many orange, how many calico, how many black, how many male and female. So you do have to, in this case, you do have to say male and female. Okay, you can't just say orange cats and black cats and calico. You do need to say female, male and female. Okay. All right. So work on those um, 4 questions and then let's upload those. And then I will work on uploading the one for um, polygenics. And actually, no, I'm going to just upload the other activity. We're going to not do that. We're going to do one where you have to create your own organism and you get to select. Now, normally in the classroom, it's done where you do it with a partner and you flip a coin. And so your partner will be, you decide who's going to do the male characteristics and who's going to do the female characteristics. But since you all are at home, you get your own penny and you do your own flip. And so you decide which characteristic is going to be male and which one is going to be female. And then you'll fill in your boxes that way. So I'll explain that again when I upload it. So right now I'm going to stop sharing, let you work on this, do attendance, and then upload the activity. And then when I do that, I'll explain that one. All righty. All right. And so Piper, you just hang tight because that's like I said, I see you've done this already. If you haven't read the rest of that page, which I'm sure you have, you could do that. Where's my, let me do attendance first. All right, so again, our goal is to stay on top of everything, not to let that assignments fall behind. So that means when I'm looking at GoGuardian, everybody but Piper needs to be working on this. Thank you. And we have 100% attendance today. All right. Good job. Okay. Okay, the second worksheet, this is not the lab one that I wanted you to do, but this is the second worksheet that deals with multiple alleles and polygenic traits. So it's going to be found on your to-do page, things to do. And when you click on that, it says a student, make sure that you can see it. All right, so stop for a minute and just look at what I'm showing you, and then you can go back to what you're doing. All right, so you're going on your home page again on your to-do list, so you might need to refresh your page. You're going to find multiple alleles and polygenic traits. All right, so this one deals with the blood type, and it also has some other um, questions and charts for you to fill in. Okay. So so again, get used to with genetics questions that it comes off like a word problem. So you have to be able to go in and again, vocabulary, understand what what they're looking for as far as what is the male and what is the female characteristics of that organism. So let me come back up here. All right, so for number one, so this one up here, let me go all the way back. This one up here, they just want you to fill in the boxes up here, all the possibilities, and then do the genotypes and prediction percentage characteristics over here. So that's similar to what you had on Canvas. All right, so then over here, when you look at it, it says a man with type A marries a woman with type B. And so this chart up here is going to be important because this is going to be a reference for you. So if you do this one right, you refer that back to that as how you answer these over here. Their first child is type O. What do you know about the genotypes of the parents? So again, you want to come back up here and look at if the child is type O, how did they get to be type O? You can find that out by looking at your chart. Okay. So um, this will be your next activity after you finish the one with the calico cat. Okay, so again, use the chart to help you answer the questions on this worksheet. Read the paragraph. The paragraph has information, although it's similar to what we just read in Canvas, but do read. And down here, they give you the solution to that problem up there, and then they ask you the other questions. Okay, if there are any questions, please ask. All right, so again, you can find this on your homepage. It's the multiple alleles and polygenic traits. Finish the first one, and then this one will be the second one. And I'll save the other lab type activity for next week. We have a holiday schedule for next week, so I will see you Wednesday because there is no Wednesday type schedule. So your normal Tuesday schedule will be on Wednesday. Tuesday is going to be Monday schedule, and Wednesday is going to be the Tuesday schedule. And then Thursday and Friday will be normal. Okay, so on Wednesday, I'll give you that other activity. For today, just make sure we get these two um, uploaded and submitted. And again, if you have questions, please ask. I can take you in if you don't want to ask out loud, I can take you in a breakout room and explain it to you if you need me to. All things are possible. All righty. Mm, All right, Malik, you okay? You need any help? Please, please, please say if you need help. I did. Hmm. I apologize. My printer is making a lot of noise.
You're muted.
Thank you. Uh-oh. Did some of y'all leave? Okay, never mind. I'll do this next time. Because some folks have left. All right, but there is an activity there, and I'll explain it on Wednesday. So, all right, you all have a great weekend. Stay warm, stay safe, and don't worry about this one till next week. Have a good one. I forget what time it is. I thought it was, I'm thinking at 1:30. I mean 11:30, and it's 11:25. So you gotta go. Have a good one. Folks just up and left. All righty. Okay.